Well, it's interesting you mention ECHR in the UK ties with the European unions that still remain, although the Brexit happened, they still remain. And I'm always keen on asking this question to the Conservatives, because my path in politics, which is only about 2 years now, has started in the Council of Europe,
Mm-hmm.
which operates which monitors human rights,
which is important to say
all
is
of that,
distinct from
and
the EU.
operates
It's very different from the EU. It's a different international body, right?
well, it operates within the EU, but of course not all of the countries that are members of the EU are there.
Yeah, these are separate.
Only,
These are separate international institutions. Yeah.
Also, countries
it's like
like
NATO
Turkey,
is a separate international institution.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But in the same place, Strasbourg, I have also been to ECHR, and have been explained by primarily Labour MPs, Labour lords, why is it so significant that we remain in ECHR. What's your response to those people? Why should we leave? And can we technically leave? Who is going to lead that process?
Okay, well, so the first thing I'll say, it is significant, right? This is a significant constitutional position, whether you wish to be in ECHR or not, whether you wish to be bound by these rules or not. It is definitely significant. So if you like, admire the sincerity of the other side who are saying we must stay in. There's a lot at stake here. This is not a trivial matter about whether you wish to stay in or stay out. So it comes down to this, in my view. Do you believe the affairs of the United Kingdom, or indeed, I dare say, these debates could be happening in other European countries as well, are best organised by agreeing a particular code and handing it over to a court in Strasbourg, or even domestic courts that try and interpret as best they are able these rules, in order to ensure that you have, for example, the right to a private life and a family life? Do you want those decisions handed over to a liberal judicial system, or do you want those decisions made by a democratically elected parliament? That's what's at stake. That is significant. That is a choice. And, I admire people who say, actually, no, I don't want our politicians deciding this. I think it is very important that in the United Kingdom we cannot extradite or return an Albanian to Albania because his son has a particular dietary preference for English chicken McNuggets. I'm not lying about this. It was an actual
Is it an actual thing?
Actual case.
I've never heard
this. And it would
no.
disrupt his family life to send him back to Tirana or Albania, because his son really, really likes the chicken nuggets that are available in England. Now, these decisions can either be made by judges. I should just clarify, that was a first instance decision. I don't know whether it's been overturned higher up. But those sort of decisions are either made by judges and bureaucrats, or the rules are set by politicians. Pick a lane. A case can be made for each. A case can be made for each. I'm conscious that we don't necessarily want the totalitarian rule of the majority, right? We seem, however, in the UK to have managed this pretty well over several hundred years now, that I'm not sure I want these judicial backstops and bureaucracy intervening in these sort of micro cases. And one of the huge issues in the United Kingdom at the moment is how we deal with migration. I'm afraid the debate about it has become both poisonous and confused, and those two things tend to go together because there are a multifaceted range of areas about immigration. Are you coming here to work? Are you seeking asylum? Are you genuinely fleeing persecution? Who can you bring with you? There's a whole range of it, and we're very focused on these small boats coming over from France to these islands, which is a part of it. And tens of thousands every year are coming in by that mechanism, but it's actually only a small part of the number of people who are coming into the United Kingdom. So what should our approach be to immigration? Someone who just puts their hand up in the air and says, I would like to move to London in order to better my life, or Manchester or Birmingham or Edinburgh. Here are my bona fides. Here is the job or offer I've got. You know, do I get in or not? Great, you're in. Do you get the vote? How quickly? How quickly can you become a British citizen? How quickly do you get permanent leave to remain? Can you bring a spouse with you? Can you bring children with you? That's immigration. And you know, big questions about how we should handle that. My broad view is we should let you in if you're a net contributor and not if you're a net beneficiary. So if you can come in and say, I will be giving more, literally in cash terms, to the state than I will be taking out, come in. If you're good enough to play centre forward for Manchester United and they're willing to pay you £10 million a year to be their centre forward, I'm pretty much letting anybody in. You are going to be contributing more in tax to the state than you will be claiming in child benefit or the NHS or anything else.
The study
and the
also,
separate, the different categories, asylum seekers, and these two get merged together. If somebody says, I'm a gay member of the Iraqi Libertarian Party, you have to help me. I have no money, I can't play centre forward for Manchester United, I have no skills, help me, feed me. How do you treat that category of person? And that second category we have handed over almost entirely to ECHR rules. They won't literally get to Strasbourg, that would be unusual. But the Strasbourg interpretation has now infected the entire judicial process in the United Kingdom, to the extent to which we will say yes or no. You know, you can stay. We hear your plight, and we agree with it. We will fund you. We will pay for you to have safe haven. Those two things do need to be detached. Migration for essentially lifestyle or economic reasons is one part, and asylum seeking is another. We've got both wrong, but they are two different things.
One of the biggest problems, it seems to me, that has appeared under Starmer in Britain, not appeared, I mean it has existed before, but it has become worse under Starmer, is crime, especially in big cities like London, Birmingham. This is what I hear from all sorts of people that come across the crime, and hear a lot about crime gangs in the news. And Starmer seems to care about this, but I don't know whether he's capable of making really the change that people require. For example, on X, I found one of the quotes that he has published on X, saying, we have new powers to freeze their assets, shut them off from the UK financial system, and ban them from traveling to Britain. Is that realistic? Is that actually going to be
Vladimir, I just want to be clear, are you talking about crime with regard to people smuggling or crime in general? Are you talking about shoplifting and armed robbery and rape and sex abuse, or are you
I'd
specifically...
say more people smuggling.
People smuggling, right. Because on the crime statistic, I think it's interesting. I mean, actually, the homicide rate, for example, is falling. Not that I would praise this government for having done anything to do that. The Labour government's proposition on people smuggling, on how people are crossing in small boats or finding other ways into the country, because for a geographically small country like the UK, there are some benefits of being an island, but unsurprisingly, our borders are porous, right? I mean, there are vast numbers of different ways in which you can land a boat somewhere in the British Isles. Huge. We can't police them all. We're not going to build the Berlin Wall or put up barbed wire fences everywhere around the United Kingdom. So how does one approach this? Now, in my view, the present Labour government is being entirely performative about this. We're going to smash the gangs. How many of you arrested? Who have you nicked? What's the penalty for these people? And just as we're talking today, over the last couple of days, there's been a controversial, but in some ways quite brilliant, BBC investigation into the gangs. One of the reasons it was controversial is the BBC handed over money to a range of people. So journalists were knowingly handing over money to criminals and secretly filmed them and investigated all of this. And have exposed it really quite well on the BBC website. If anyone who goes to bbc.co.uk can go and see it. The BBC seemed to be the very left-wing state broadcaster of the United Kingdom, seemed to be doing more to smash the gangs than Border Force. I don't know the exact numbers of people who have been rounded up, convicted and sent to jail for life for being involved in people trafficking. But on anecdotes, very, very little happens. A case was actually put to me, I can't remember the person's name, who had been convicted of being involved in people smuggling. He was in Britain, he was charged, he was convicted, and he got a 20-month suspended sentence. So to be clear about what that means, you don't serve any jail time, you'll only serve any of it if you're convicted further down the line. So there's no deterrent, there doesn't seem to be much policing. Obviously, just as a matter of geology, we have a very porous border. It's quite difficult to stop someone who's determined in a boat to get somewhere onto British shore. I mean, we're not going to. We would need to quadruple the size of the British Navy and have them doing nothing else, or put barbed wire up around every coastline. But we got the incentives wrong. Once you get here, it's very, very hard to get rid of you. There's virtually no punishment. You can easily pass a test, and the vast swathe of left-leaning human rights lawyers will leap to your aid at the expense of the taxpayer to make sure that you are retained in the United Kingdom. So the gangs are not going to be smashed any more than we have won the war on drugs. It's a similar conundrum, but we are approaching this even more idiotically than we have approached the war on drugs over the past 30, 40 years.